process that is taking place. Now, what they're not showing you are the ones that become a tray. Okay, at ovulation, that's our day 14, that's our cutoff point. This is estrogen dominated here. Now, when we go here, this is primarily after this day 14, we become more progesterone dominated. So what we have here is a corpus luteum. So this particular structure, this follicle that releases the oocyte, is converted to a corpus luteum, and it begins to make progesterone. Here it's making a lot of estrogen. But here, the last 14 days, we're making a lot of progesterone in preparation for pregnancy. Okay, everybody understand that? If you can understand that, then when we put this cycle together, it becomes a little bit easier. So 14 days, follicle development of the ovary. Estrogen is increasing, and the maximum estrogen is somewhere here. And that estrogen, we talked about positive feedback yesterday. This estrogen is what positively feeds back and stimulates LH so that you can get this release of this oocyte. Now, once that happens, then this the follicle, the oocyte leaves, the follicle remains, and you see the corpus luteum forming, and so you convert from estrogen to progesterone. Now, if pregnancy does not happen, then this corpus luteum regresses and the next menstrual period starts because you have menstruation because there's a withdrawal of progesterone and estrogen from the endometrium. Okay? Now that's the cycle. I'm trying to give you an overview of this, and most of you already know it. But some people get very confused with some of this information. Are there any questions about this aspect? What I want to show you here is ovulation. This is an ovary, okay? And you see that this is a follicle, and it's releasing the oocyte. You see that? And this is what's going to be picked up by the fimbriated end at 14 days into the cycle. Okay. Can you see? Yeah. And so this follicle, see, so the oocyte is leaving, but the remaining follicle converts to what? Corpus luteum. Yes. Let me see if I have that. No, okay. Okay, so that's what we're talking about, right there. That's what you're seeing, right there. I'm going to skip around on this one. Let me just go through the cycle here. And I'll take it up a little bit more tomorrow as well. Okay, what we said was during those first 14 days, or we got the early stages where you're at menstruation. During the early follicular phase, you get FSH, the stimulating follicular growth. Okay, so you're starting to grow these follicles during the early phase. Now we're doing, we're at day 1, which is menstruation. You can see estrogen is low. You get a little bump there because you're starting to develop the follicles. Progesterone is low, inhibin is low. Now, I didn't talk to you too much about anti-malarial hormone except for the male, but FSH stimulates the granulosa cells to make this anti-malarial hormone. LH stimulates the theca cells to convert to make the androgens, and the androgens are converted to estrogen. So this is the early follicular phase, and I'll let you just write this down. Just take time and write it down so that you can understand what's going on. So this is around the time of the period, okay? The first day of menstruation. So you got FSH levels that are bumped up, and it's starting the follicles to grow. You got the granulosal cells that are making anti-malarial hormone, which kind of need that for maturation of the follicles. And then the LH stimulates the theca cells to make the androgens. So the granulosa cells are kind of like the Sertoli cells in the male, and the theca cells are like the Leydig cells. So notice, again, that the major thing would be androgens first. Sex drive, androgens. Not only the adrenal, but here too. Now, we're still in the first 14 days of the cycle, so but we're in the latter part of the 14 days, okay? Now, this is where we're going to get, this is the ovarian cycle. This is where we're going to get a peak in LH. So you can see that the follicles have grown and grown and grown. And so now you get peak estrogen secretion, as you can begin to see here, and it has a positive feedback on GnRH and LH. And some progesterone here can have a feedback, positive feedback on LH as well. So you get the LH surge, and what you have is a resumption of meiosis 1. You're going to go through the first meiotic division, and you get ovulation. So also you see that the inhibin levels kind of bump up here. Inhibin is going to inhibit FSH. You're going to slow it down late in the cycle, so because you don't need a lot more estrogen now. It's going to inhibit, you don't need a lot more follicular development. So the inhibin is going to feed back on FSH to inhibit more follicular development. So right now, the take-home message for this one is the peak levels of estrogen that result from the mature follicles and the stimulation of LH to promote this ovulation and the resumption of meiosis, where you undergo the first meiotic division and you get ovulation. That's the big thing here. Okay, everybody with me? Kind of not. Okay, so we showed you ovulation. So now, once ovulation has happened, we're not going to let the lady be pregnant right now. We'll just get her pregnant tomorrow, but not today. So the corpus luteum is formed, and progesterone now is going to predominate. And I can't remember which color progesterone was, so let's go back. Progesterone is black, inhibin is blue, and estrogen is red. You got to remember, estrogen is, yeah. Okay. So here, progesterone is dominating for the corpus luteum. And you can see some rises in estrogen and inhibin, but progesterone is the predominant one. Now notice FSH and LH are very, very low during the luteal phase. The luteal phase, because there's a corpus luteum, progesterone is high, and then the temperature set point is higher. Some people use temperature as a measure of when they're fertile or not, and it's due. They're looking at progesterone. When progesterone is higher, are you fertile? Yes or no?
If it's higher, you are.
Probably not.
No, probably not,
No.
because progesterone is after ovulation. Okay, so this is the luteal phase progesterone. So what I need you to do is to look at the ovarian phase as separate from the uterine phase. So the ovary is dictating what happens to the uterus. Okay, so you got to get the ovarian phase first, and then you can get the uterine phase next. Okay, so you have to kind of know what's going on hormonally first with the ovary. So this is what the corpus luteum looks like here. It's a yellow body. They call it a yellow body. And it's really making a lot of progesterone.